Hey everyone, I'm Tom, and welcome to the Orange Chronicles, where I chronicle what I've been up to over the past week or so. And let's go ahead and just talk about the books that I read and completed this week to start with. So, first up, and really the big headline topic here for today's video, is going to be Demon in White, Book 3 of Sun Eater by Christopher Rocchio. And I had an amazing time with this book. I will just say, no, I don't think it was a disappointment. I know I titled the video, asking if it was a disappointment, and no, Demon in White was not a disappointment. I will say Howling Dark is still my favorite Sun Eater book that I've read so far. Obviously, not the biggest sample size, only reading the first three books, but Howling Dark does keep its crown as my favorite. That being said, this is a super, super great book. I had such a great time with it. It just, not as much as Howling Dark. This is, I think, like a top 4 book for me this year. So, like, that should just kind of explain to you how much I thought about it. I will say, so many people told me that this was their favorite Sun Eater book that I did go into this book with like sky high expectations. And to be honest, like I think it met them for the most part. The only question that I really have is or had about this book was towards the end there was a plot that was being set up of something that might happen to our main character. And I'll be honest, I didn't want it to happen. I won't say much more than that, but I will just say the way that is resolved, I loved. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I think the last chapter of this book is one of the best chapters in the entire series, one of the best chapters I have ever read. I think it sets up this story to go all kinds of different directions, which I really enjoy. And, maybe this isn't fair, but I've been comparing Demon in White and Howling Dark a little bit, for myself, just being like, well, what is it about Howling Dark that I think I ended up liking more than Demon in White? Because both books, have a similar structure where at the end there is this like big crescendo battle kind of moment, right? And I think the difference really is in Demon in White, it focuses much more on the battle aspect of it. It really is like this big epic battle, and it's super cool. I wish I could see it in real life, like an adaptation of that battle would be absolutely bonkers, like crazy awesome, right? Like I'm thinking Dune, but even scaled up even more than like Dune. And we have a similar thing at the end of Howling Dark where we do have this big battle. But the difference between the two battles is in Howling Dark, we get this deep, like psychological, uh, like philosophy kind of thing that happens where like I don't know, just like kind of blew my mind in a way and did something in a series that I just really, really didn't expect. And in Demon in White, it was more just the battle. Not that something cool didn't really happen at the end. And I think really what it is part of that part of Howling Dark really reminds me of the Three Body Problem, which is my favorite, series of all time. And so I think maybe that connection, like some of those same elements are there. And I think those are just elements that work for me, like like if we're going to rank tropes, like that kind of thing is like super super high up on my list. So I think that is maybe like the one distinct factor that goes on there, which is funny because Demon in White definitely has some of those same elements. It's earlier in the book, right? It's before really that big battle. So I don't know, maybe I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Maybe it's just the way that they happened in the story, like when they happened and just how it hit me emotionally. But yeah, this series is so great. I think if I had to make my top 10 series of all time video, which, 2.5 years into this, I still have not made a top 10 favorite books of all time, top 10 series of all time, those kinds of videos, which maybe I should at some point. But this is a book series that would just be like, I don't know, at this point, it's probably top 5, like if not higher, which is a crazy thing to say, not being, like I'm halfway through it, I guess, right now of the books that are released. And it was very hard for me not to just start the next book immediately. I obviously I could have, I can do it, ever I want, read what you want when you want. I say it all the time. But I think it was good for me to take, a break from this into when I start, I think it's Kingdom of Death is the next one. I should learn the titles of the books. So I think that's the next one that I'll have to get to. And but I'm super excited for it. And yeah, Demon in White, just another great chapter in this series. And I'm so excited to continue to be caught up, to go to the gala, to be a part of it all. It's just I wish I had started it sooner. That's all I can ever say about this series when I talk about it, because I could have been on the forefront of this. I've had these books forever, and yet I waited until the very last minute, which procrastination is bad, right? Anyway, that is what I had to say about Demon White. It's a 4 star. I guess I could say that. I did give it a 4 star because I don't give out a whole lot of 5 stars. But at the same time I was listening to Demon in White, I was also reading 2 short stories from Jenny Wirtz. These are a part of her Wars of Light and Shadow series, and I have been really lazy and have still not made covers for these. So maybe as soon as I'm done filming this video, I'll go make covers. But you can see them on the screens. I read Reigns of Destiny and The Sundering Star. So we'll go ahead and talk about the Reigns of Destiny. I liked it. It's good. It adds another perspective of what's going on way before the story and everything. Jenny Wright's writing, always a pleasure. I say that probably every time I talk about her stuff, that anytime I get to experience one of her stories, it's a really good time. This is like a 20-page novella that just, some stuff happens, and it's good. It's hard to say too much about something that short, but the real one that I want to talk about here is The Sundering Star. So if you have read The Sundering Star, I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments down below, because I feel like this is a short story that changes everything about the main series in a way that I thought would happen, just because I've heard people say bits and pieces about this series, and it has, and there's a couple things that are said in the text itself where it seems like everybody's talking around this big thing that gets revealed at some point in the main series. And I think if you read this, which you're supposed to read this one, I think after you read the third book, the War Host of Vastmark, and I was reading this and I was like, so I get it now. I think I understand what people are purposely avoiding spoiling, because it's massive. And I think if you read The Sundering Star, it changes the entire perspective of this story in a fun way. And so I'm really curious on how that is going to end up tying into the main series, because I think people talk about, and Jenny Works herself talks about, I can't remember which book it is in the main series, but it might be the sixth book where the entire series gets flips on its head. And I have a feeling that some of the stuff that happens in The Sundering Star, which happens 20,000 years before the stuff that happens in the main series, I think some of that stuff is going to come into play, and it's going to change everything. And I'm super, super curious now to see what happens there. And I think it'll be really cool. And yeah, I mean, Jenny Wirtz, I'm excited to get back to it. So those like once again, that was like 40 pages worth of reading between both those short stories. I gave them both 3 stars. They're really good. Jenny Wirtz's writing is great, and one definitely I think reshapes my perspective of the main series as a whole, which is I mean I enjoy. I think it was really cool. And then the last thing that I finished, we're gonna go back to the comic book front here, and I finally finished Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And first, I had just got to say, there is some amazing artwork in here. And I really notice it with some of the color palette stuff, which I'm trying to find. Like, this is a great example of like some of the color palette choices and stuff that happen where they just play off each other in just like such a beautiful way. Like you have the orange into the blue, and it just like blends and stuff. And it's something that I noticed multiple times throughout this story of like, just like the color choices. Like this is just like a random one that I flipped to. And I think that, I don't know, the color, oh, this is like another, I could just do this over and over and over again, which I'll close it now so I don't. But I had a really good time with this. It's probably a 4-star comic for me. I don't think it hit the same highs as some of the Superman stuff that I've read. And some of that might just be from me really, really loving Superman in a way that, he's my favorite superhero. So that works. But this is super, super good. I would put this on the same level as like an all-star Superman, which for some people is probably blasphemy. But, I mean, Tom King, once again, just absolutely, he gets like the emotional moments of a superhero in a way that I don't think I have read from a lot of other comic people. And so I mean, it has just been fantastic to read his work. And this is another one that if you are not a comic book person, this is another one, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, that I would hand to you and say, hey, read this if you want to understand maybe why people like comics, right? It's once again complete, short. I mean, it's actually a little wordy for a comic, but it is short. But you could buy this. It's like $10. Read this whole story and be complete, right? Which is what I like to try to suggest to people as far as comics go. So once again, Tom King, great. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow was really good. I'm glad I read it. Thank you to Shay over at Zachary Shay for telling me to read this over and over again, because it is really, really good. And I will continue on with reading comics this year, which has been, a very pleasant surprise for me. And then let's go ahead and transition from things that I finished to things that I started / am still working on. So first up, we have The Immortal Investigations by Michael Cronk, who is the book guy here on YouTube. And I'm not super far into this one, but I'm having a lot of fun with this one. I don't think it's going to be like the greatest masterpiece ever written or anything, but it's been a lot of fun and I'm really enjoying it. And it reminds me of like a little bit of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a little bit, because it's like serious in some moments, but then really silly also in some other moments and stuff. So I don't know if that's a weird comparison, but because like you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna stick by that comparison. We'll see as we go on if I continue with that. But like it goes from these moments of seriousness to silly, and you're like, is this like what is actually going on? And so I've had a lot of fun with it. It's really good, and so I'm looking forward to continuing that. And then I'm also going to start my next comic book, which is going to be Godzilla versus King Kong versus the Justice League, which I think is just going to be so much fun. I think I've shown this comic off a few times, but like even if I just show you the naked hardcover of this, like the artwork on this is just absolutely amazing, and I adore it, which is why I'm going to read it. Like big kaiju monster stuff is like right up my alley. I love it. It's great. Like Pacific Rim's like my favorite movie, like all that kind of stuff. That's probably really loud for you. Is just I don't know, absolutely amazing. So I'm really looking forward to starting that. And then sticking on the comic front, I have this behemoth, the second compendium of Invincible, which I mean, like, this thing is absolutely just massive. But I'll be working on that as well, which hopefully I can finish before it has to go back to the library, because the waits on this were forever. It took me like a month to get it from my library, unfortunately. But I guess, yeah, those are my reading plans coming up, and all of that fun stuff. So definitely let me know what you've been reading, all that fun stuff. And then just quickly, some other things. The one reason I'm worried I'm not going to finish Invincible is I'm going on vacation here really soon. I'm going to Ireland, and I'm going to go watch the Steelers and Vikings football game that is happening in Dublin. So that should be cool. I'll be in Ireland for about a week. So that'll either make or break my reading. I'm going to be on public transport a decent amount, so hopefully, I can listen and read a decent amount over the week that I'm gone. Fingers crossed for that. But that should be a really fun trip. And then the only other thing is check out the video I was a part of from Preacher Reads, and it's about self-published fantasy and, like, is it good? Is it worth reading? If you're skeptical about it, why at this point? But here's some suggestions for you to try. And it's always awesome when I get to be a part of his videos, and I'm always thankful for him, inviting me on to be on his channel. But yeah, that is all for me. Definitely kind of got a little wild there at the end, but it has been a good week. Hopefully vacation allows me to read. Vacation is one of those things where I either read a whole bunch or not at all. And so with needing to read some stuff before I get to start the next Sun Eater book, hopefully I get a decent amount of that. Oh, I should mention, I'm going to read Iron Flame while I'm on vacation. After I finish the Immortal Investigations, I'll be reading Iron Flame while I'm in Ireland. That's kind of the plan there. So yeah, I mean, that is, I think, all finally at this point. But definitely, as always, let me know what you read down below in the comments and all of that fun stuff. Or, the Discord, as always, you can message me there as well. But that's all for me. And remember, as always, to read what you want when you want.